watching Fox 13's Good Day Tampa Bay.
It is a daunting task, filing the appropriate claims after a massive storm like Helene. Ahead this hour, where you can go this weekend to get assistance. Plus,
well, the dock workers' strike has come to an end. I'm Doug Luzader in Washington. We'll have details on that temporary agreement coming up.
And they were 1 second shy of winning. The heartbreaking ending for the Bucs after such an impressive start last night.
Don't let him make any substitutions.
It was a good game. Would have been better with a win. But you know, it is nice this morning, the sunrise that we are waking up to around the area. How about this beautiful shot in Sarasota? It's 77 right now. We're going to top out right around 90 degrees today before some storms develop. I'll time those out for you coming up in just a bit. Hey, Jen.
Hey, Val, it's a busy start to the finally Friday morning rush hour drive. We start with a fatal accident being investigated right now. This is along Bruce B. Downs Boulevard at Aaronwood Boulevard. It's on Bruce B. Downs. It's affecting the southbound side. FHP is on scene investigating a fatal crash happened much earlier this morning. And this is along Bruce B. Downs southbound. It's in between State Road 56 and County Line Road to give you a better idea of where it is. And it is jammed this morning. This is westbound along I-4. This is the Selma Expressway connector. There's an accident somewhere off into the distance there just before the downtown interchange, and it's causing a big backup past Dr. MLK Jr. Boulevard. Southbound 275 delays start right around Bush Boulevard. There was a crash reported at Bird Street. That is clear. This is the residual backup that we're dealing with right now along southbound 275. One crash in Pinellas County. It's along US 19 near Alderman Road. You can see from the map that we're seeing a slowdown on both the north and southbound side. If you're traveling in Brandon this morning, an accident in State Road 60 at Jerry Smith Drive. And a look at travel times for the big bridges. We are still in the green, 6 minutes across the Howard Franklin, 10 across the Courtney Campbell, and it's a quick 7-minute ride across the Gandy. Russell?
thank you, Jen. Well, the death toll from Hurricane Helene is now up to at least 215. Makes it the deadliest storm to hit the U.S. since Katrina nearly 20 years ago. Most of those deaths were in North Carolina, where dozens of people still remain missing. This morning, 700,000 customers from Florida to Virginia are still without power, and that includes about 10,000 here in Florida. And cell phone service is still not available in some of the rural areas hit hard by this storm.
Well, President Biden came to Florida yesterday, got a tour of the damage in the Big Bend area where Helene made landfall. The towns of Perry and Keaton Beach were hit hard by winds over 100 miles an hour. The president also met with families that were impacted by the storm and was briefed on the recovery operations in the state. He says the government will cover the cost for debris removal in the hard-hit states and offer emergency protection for 3 months.
Folks, this is going to pay for the urgent work to clear the mud, remove the downed trees, provide temporary housing. And on top of this, the Department of Agriculture, and I have with me the Secretary of Agriculture today, is on the ground to support farmers, ranchers, and small businesses impacted by this storm.
The president says FEMA teams are knocking on doors for those who need assistance. And for many of us here, you may have already seen them in your neighborhood. And since Helene made landfall last week, there have been more than 65,000 insurance claims. About half of those are from homeowners.
Understanding your insurance coverage can be tricky, and our Kelly Cowan is in Clearwater, where help is available this weekend. Good morning, Kel.
Good morning to you. And yeah, that 65,000 figure doesn't even count the number of flood insurance claims that have been made. And many of them have been made in this area, considering how badly impacted a lot of our neighborhoods were by the storm surge. So there are a lot of people filing claims right now. That means a pretty big wait list for getting the insurance claim process started and getting things rolling up until you get that final check. And so that's where an event like this can really help out, because they are able at this event this weekend to give you an advance on your claim if you are eligible. Policyholders, they are welcome whether or not they've started the claim process already, but officials are warning that they do expect this to be a very busy and highly attended event, so they only want people with active insurance policies and questions about those claims that they need to file to be attending this.
Okay, Kelly. Thank you.
Okay.
Crews will start collecting storm debris today in Oldsmar. That process will probably take about 4 to 6 weeks. The city is prioritizing homes with flood damage. A few things to keep in mind here. Storm debris cannot be bagged, and you'll need to separate it into categories at the curb.
On Holmes Beach, piles of debris line the streets. The storm surge there was about 6 feet, causing every ground level home to experience between 1 and 5 feet of water damage. People who live there need help. While some are moving quickly with the cleanup, there are others who need help getting everything out.
I don't know. Everything in my home, it destroyed both of my cars. My life is on curb right now.
Our community members need help moving furniture, appliances, saturated rugs and things out of their homes. We need people to help with drywall removal and really just get their hands dirty. We need muscles.
Center of Anna Maria Island is asking for additional volunteers to help move furniture, to rip out drywall, and a few other things. Volunteers are needed daily. If you'd like to help, the number to call is 941-778-1908.
Governor DeSantis paid a visit yesterday to Anna Maria Island. He gave an update on the state's response to Helene. He also signed an executive order that allows renters in affected areas to remain in their homes regardless of any time constraints in their lease. He says it's unfair to force them out during a crisis like this.
This is something that would have significant impacts on the nation's economy anyways. But to have this happen in a way that could negatively impact people that are reeling from a Category 4 hurricane, that is just simply unacceptable.
Governor also says the state is still compiling numbers and analyzing every case, but that the death toll in the Tampa Bay area is 15. It could go higher. 12 for Pinellas County alone.
Well, several mobile home neighborhoods in Pinellas County were destroyed by the storm. A lot of residents don't know if they'll ever be able to move back or if they can rebuild. Pinewood Village Mobile Home Park is one of several parks that was inundated with water. Steve Derrickson is a 9-year resident. He says he's never seen anything like the flooding from Helene. He waded through knee-deep water just to get to his home this past weekend. Floodwaters destroyed his furniture, his appliances, and the floor is now caving in. Derrickson had a FEMA inspection earlier this week, but he just doesn't know what the future holds.
Dock workers from Florida to Maine are heading back to work this morning after a 3-day strike. The union has a tentative agreement for higher wages, so they chose to call off the walkout until further notice. Doug Luzader tells us how that may affect the election.
Well, for the second time in the past few weeks, a major labor union has chosen not to endorse a presidential candidate. This time, it's the International Association of Firefighters that came to that decision after a vote by union members showing a pretty even split between the two candidates. This is one of the first times in the 106-year history of that union that they have not given an endorsement. They gave it to Biden 4 years ago. Well, it's a case of she says, he says. There are two sides to the story.
Coming up, these surprising allegations against country music star Garth Brooks. Plus,
public health experts say several factors are behind a drop in people using protection. I'm Tanley Painter. Details coming up.
Well, good day, Tampa Bay. It is a nice start to our Friday, and things pretty quiet out there. Here's a look over Bayshore this morning, where it is 79. Winds about 10 miles per hour. Many of us are still in the 70s, but St. Pete, Clearwater, already in the low 80s. It's about 74 right now for Brooksville, as well as the Newport Richey area. Winds coming in out of the east, about 5 to up to 15 miles per hour. So these storms will head back toward the coast later on today, heaviest during the evening. More details on the other side of this break.
Hurricane Helene devastated parts of the Tampa Bay area. Thousands of people have been impacted, and the best way you can help is through the Red Cross. Scan this QR code or go to redcross.org/foxforward, and your donation will provide safe shelter, hot meals, and emotional support to those in need. It's an easy way to make a big difference in our community.
And now, Fox 13 meteorologist Valerie Mills with your Sky Tower radar forecast.
Hey everyone, well, we're going to be talking about kind of split story for the weekend. Saturday's going to be quite nice, generally dry conditions for most of us. Then we look to Sunday and really right on through the middle of next week, and we're tracking a system that moves into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to be bringing us pretty elevated rain chances, the potential for some locally heavy rain, and with a couple of days of that, we're looking at some pretty decent rain totals to be able to stack up here around the state. That is from this area that we're watching for tropical development. Only about a 40% chance for that to develop. Then out in the open Atlantic, we have Hurricane Kirk and Tropical Storm Leslie. Good news with both of those. Those are going to kind of curve up to the north, stay out to sea. No impact to land. Maybe some high surf, though, for parts of Bermuda and some of the Caribbean islands. But that's about all they'll see from those systems. So some good news there. But as we bring things closer to home with our exclusive Fox model here, we're actually looking at some energy from the Pacific to be able to kind of fuel this area that we're tracking for Sunday and into Monday of next week. So pretty disorganized at this point. We're only looking at the potential for an area of low pressure to move into the Gulf. Will it become something tropical? Maybe, but despite that, it's the heavy rain that moves in for the Gulf Coast and especially southern parts of the Sunshine State. That's going to be the big story. There you can see kind of a general area of low pressure that's trying to form, but then just notice all of the heavy rain that's going to be kind of slinging back on the east side of that. So that's what we're going to be dealing with over the next few days, and especially areas just south of I-4 and down to the base of the peninsula. That's where we're talking about the heaviest rain setting up, where on the high side, we could be talking over 6 inches of rain for those areas. Granted, this is several days of those rain accumulations, but closer to the 2 to 4 inch range for areas north of Tampa Bay, 3 to 6 then as we get kind of closer to Sarasota, Manatee counties, and some of those spots. So starting Sunday and into Monday, our area already highlighted under a chance to get some excessive rain. So that's going to be our biggest threats that we're watching with that tropical system. So regardless of if it becomes our next named storm of the season or even a tropical depression, it is going to be bringing us some impact. So that's something that we'll watch for. Highs today in the 90s all across the area. Tomorrow, one more day in the low 90s before that cooler air moves in. And then look at our highs as we look at your 7-day forecast. We're down to the mid 80s Sunday, and we stay there through most of next week. Good morning, Jen.
Hey, Val, good morning. It's 7:17, checking on your finally Friday morning drive, and we have a pair of problems in Pinellas County. Bad crash. Skyfox just arrived on scene, US 19 at Alderman Road. You can see the vehicle heavily damaged. You have FHP, local police, and fire rescue on scene right now, and they're basically taking up almost all of the intersection. You can see that officials are using their flashlights to wave people past this crash, but the intersection is really a mess this morning. US 19 at Alderman Road. Checking on Pinellas County again, southbound 275 near the Gandy Boulevard exit. All of the vehicles are off to the right side of the roadway, but drivers are tapping on their brakes and following that move over law. And it's been a mess along I-4 westbound. It remains that way. This is just before the downtown interchange. You can see that traffic getting off of the Selman connector and trying to get onto westbound I-4, having some trouble there. Definitely want to give yourself an extra 5 minutes to your normal drive time if you're traveling westbound along I-4 toward the interchange. A couple more crashes. A fatal accident being investigated along Bruce B. Downs Boulevard at Aaronwood Boulevard, and that's just south of State Road 56. Getting busy in Brandon. A wreck reported State Road 60 at Jerry Smith Road. Also a crash northbound along I-75 at Brandon Boulevard, and an accident US 301 at Palm River Road. Good news is the big bridges are still in the green.
Good. Thank you, Jim. There are growing calls nationwide to better educate young people about safe sex.
The statistics show that that age group is using protection less often than in the past. Fox's Chanley Painter explains.
Well, still ahead, bombshell allegations against a country music legend.
Plus, disappointment again from millions of student loan borrowers. The ruling just handed down by a judge.
Right now, though, we check in with Charlie Belcher. Hi, good morning.
Good day to you, Russell. I am in Dunedin this morning, and maybe the most important part of this mural are those two words over there. Dunedin welcomes you. So many small businesses, restaurants, and shops down Main Street are open, and they're a little concerned because hyper-local residents, they're still recovering from the storm. Tourists are kind of staying away from the area. They still need to pay their bills and pay their employees, who many of them are suffering. So they hope if you're not affected by Hurricane Helene, you might consider a night out in Dunedin. We're teaming up with the Tampa Bay Food Tours. They do tours in Tampa, St. Petersburg, and Dunedin. We're going to visit a few restaurants who are open and hope to see you soon when Good Day Tampa Bay continues.
Niecy's back. I can't do sexy like you. You know what? We all have our gifts. Fridays, all new.
Today at 11 on Fox 13.
Well, it was a tale of two halves plus overtime last night for the Bucks. Post-game reactions coming up.
Also ahead, 5 manatees in distress. Matthew McClellan is covering the rescue operation for us. Matt, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Laura. They do appear to be doing okay. They've got plenty to eat in the pond, but they don't belong here. That's why recovery efforts, rescue efforts are about to get underway here in Largo. Again, it's 5 manatees, including a calf, carried inland by storm surge with Helene. After the break, we're going to talk about how a family at a cemetery made the discovery. Russell?
Thanks, Matt. And before the break, we're sad to tell you that longtime Good Day anchor Tom Curran has passed away. He left Fox 13 10 years ago to retire after more than 2 decades covering news here in Tampa Bay. As many of you know, Tom was battling Parkinson's disease. He was a respected colleague, an excellent journalist, a huge hockey fan, and a good friend to all of us. We'll miss you, Tom.
You're watching Good Day Tampa Bay.
Well, good Friday morning to you all. Taking a live look out in downtown Tampa this morning, where it sure is a pretty start to the day. We've got a good deal of sunshine out there, a couple of high-based clouds, and it's 77 right now. And as we look at your day planner, we're overall going to be in the 80s here in the next hour or so. Partly sunny conditions, then the clouds will build in, and storm chances will really focus late afternoon, but especially evening hours up along the coast. For right now, Plant City, New Tampa, 75 for you, 80s for Clearwater and St. Pete. We slide just north of the Bay Area, where Inverness, Crystal River, still 73 for you. Nice and cool to start the day. 77 around Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch, Northport as well. About 75 right now for Haines City. And with winds coming in out of the east, that's why we'll primarily talk about those coastal storms. Some heavier coverage today. Saturday is going to be quite nice, though, before some heavy storms build in again on Sunday. We'll talk more details coming up this half hour. Good morning, Jen.
Hey, Val. Not so nice on the roads this morning. A very busy Friday morning rush hour drive. We start with a look in Pinellas County. This is US 19 at Alderman Road. Part of your northbound lanes are currently blocked off. You can see 2 vehicles pretty banged up in this crash. You've got police on scene as well as road rangers. They're working to clear the crash as soon as they can. In the meantime, give yourself extra time and use extra caution as you travel past US 19 and Alderman Road. Southbound US 19 still slowing down as drivers approach Gandy Boulevard in Pinellas County. There's a crash off to the right side of the roadway. It is still very slow along westbound I-4. This is the Selman connector. This is westbound on I-4 trying to make their way toward the downtown interchange. It is very slow going from Dr. MLK to the I-275 split. A couple other trouble spots. We've been talking about this crash since the start of Good Day Tampa Bay. Fatal accident being investigated along Bruce B. Downs Boulevard just south of State Road 56. Also a crash northbound 75 at Brandon Boulevard, US 301 at Palm River Road. Very slow going traffic on the Veterans Expressway. No accidents. It's just slow from Linebaugh Avenue all the way down to State Road 60, but it's not all bad news, my friends. Live look outside. Gorgeous morning as drivers cross the Sunshine Skyway Bridge.
Okay, Tim. Thank you. Well, severe storm surge from Hurricane Helene displaced so many things along our coastal communities. Sand, property, possessions, even the wildlife.
Specifically, a group of manatees recently discovered in a pond in Largo. Fox 13's Matthew McClellan is live right near that pond where today crews plan to rescue these guys, right? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Laura. So Florida Fish and Wildlife officials say that they have been really getting a lot of reports, responding to a lot of reports of manatees trapped or stranded after storm surge carried them in and then did not carry them back out with Hurricane Helene. These manatees weigh anywhere from 800 to 1,200 pounds. Usually the hard part of this, Laura, is locating and then capturing the manatees. From there, things tend to move along pretty quickly. If you encounter a stranded manatee, an injured manatee, FWC says don't try to handle it yourself. You want to call the number that's here on your screen. That's the Wildlife Alert Hotline. And these animals may need, immediate medical care, immediate medical attention from professionals. So that is kind of the call to people if you encounter anything similar to this in your area, which, again, there have been quite a few reports in the wake of Hurricane Helene. Laura?
Hopefully they can relocate them safely and that little pod is going to be just fine.
Yes.
All right, Matt, thank you.
It's 7:35 right now. If you've been watching us this week, you know we have been relying on the good advice of former Florida Deputy Insurance Commissioner Lisa Miller. Well, she's now a disaster insurance and recovery expert. And we wanted to ask her about rebuilding and new construction in storm-prone areas. And her advice? No sticks.
That means that we have got to change our way of thinking about building construction, particularly in residential. I mean, commercial's a whole nother story.
When you drive around the Tampa Bay area, you look at all that development that's going on, these beautiful homes, and what do you see? You see trusses, you see plywood, and you see 2x4s. Do you think that wood is going to withstand 140 or 50 or 60 mile-an-hour winds? We saw that it does not. When we look at Horseshoe Beach and the devastation at Horseshoe Beach, it's woods and wood stuck all over the ground. She's imploring the building industry to have more innovation. And we just seen where there are products out that can withstand the wind, she says.
And one called me the other day and said, you can't burn ours, it won't blow down, you can't, and insects won't eat it. And I said, prove it. They sent me a box, I threw it in the fire, it would not burn. That's the kind of innovation we need.
And what was that building material made of? Magnesium oxide. Lisa says it is time to start thinking about something else than plywood 2x4s. Think of something stronger to withstand stronger storms.
In sports this morning, the Buccaneers had the Falcons on the ropes last night. And Valerie, you know, my mind's always on hockey. Of course. The countdown is official. We are about 7 days to go. Friday next week, it'll be our first away game, and then home opener is on Saturday.
I'm actually going to one of the games coming up, so I'm excited as well. Not to your level, I know. No one can match that.
I'm sure I'll see you there.
Good deal. I'm looking forward to it. You know, looking also forward to this beautiful day we have ahead. Beautiful sunrise right now. Looking out over Tampa. It is 77. Winds are pretty calm. And as we jump right into your weekend forecast, some scattered storms today, but Saturday, that's going to be the pick of the weekend. By Sunday, we're talking more tropical downpours to be possible. I'm going to have those details coming up on the other side of this break.
And we're getting an update from the Clearwater Marine Aquarium about recovery efforts after Helene. Here, which areas of their facility suffered the most damage and the emergency supplies it received to help care for some of their animals. I'm Russell Rhodes, and here's what's hot and happening this weekend. It's the final Friday Fest of the season. Take in the sights and sounds as Big Night Out takes center stage on Ben Waisel's Performing Arts Hall lawn in Sarasota. And it's the return of Keelan Farms' annual Harvest Days Festival. Hay rides, a corn maze, pumpkin painting, and cider. It's a real treat with something for everyone to enjoy.
And now, Fox 13 meteorologist Valerie Mills with your Sky Tower radar forecast.
Well, hey everyone, happy Friday and good day Tampa Bay. We're checking on satellite and radar where high pressure in control across the southeast. So for us, we're on the warm, the humid side of that as we look at dew points all across the area. We get up into Pensacola where the dew point is 69 with 60s across parts of Georgia, the Carolinas. Then we focus in on our area where dew point about 75, 76 for Tampa, Sarasota, St. Pete areas. So this humidity is going to make it feel about 5 to 8 degrees warmer this afternoon, even though our high temperature going to top out right around 90 today in Tampa. A lot of low 90s with a couple of upper 80s mixed in. But today, tomorrow, actually going to be the warmest days before we start to talk about a cooler trend Sunday and through next week. So when we factor in that humidity, here's a look at our heat index. That's our feels like temperature for today. Up to 102 in Clearwater, 97, 98 for Tampa, Brandon areas, and that's about as hot as it will be feeling like for us today. And then from there, look at our heat index forecast. Really starts to trend down, especially by Sunday. Monday, we're not going to be feeling that added heat effect from the humidity, and that's because we're trending the rain chances up. So as we take a look at the big picture here for today, east winds going to keep us pretty nice for the first half of the day. Then those storms will pop up, head back toward the west coast where some heavier storms and some heavier areas of rain will be possible this evening through around sunset, pinned right up along the coast. Pretty similar to what we saw out there last night. Some of those could even linger through about 9, 10 o'clock before all is said and done for tonight. Then we look ahead to Saturday, where overall pretty rain-free for a lot of us. I have storm coverage about 30% for tomorrow, so a lot of us will be able to avoid any of the rain. And then look at all of this as it starts to move into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's heading our way for Sunday. So particularly later in the day on Sunday, I think that's when conditions will start to get a little bit worse as some of these tropical downpours will start to build in for the state, especially heavy for areas just south of I-4, just south of Tampa Bay. That's where it looks like we see the cutoff of some much bigger rain totals to be possible through the week ahead. So we are watching this area for tropical development. Only about a 40% chance that we see a depression or some sort of named storm form out of this. That would likely not be until early next week. But regardless of if we're talking about a tropical system, we are certainly talking about a lot of heavy rain along the Gulf Coast, but especially kind of kicking back on the east side of that. So all of that moving in for us. So starting late Sunday and through about Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, that's when we're going to be in this pocket of just deep tropical moisture with some heavy rains to be possible here, where we're talking a couple of inches, about 2 to 4 for areas generally north of Tampa Bay. Then about 3 to 6 inches looks possible right around the Sarasota area, and further south, we could even be picking up on some bigger rain totals. So we'll just continue to fine tune that over the next couple of days. But there's a look at our tropics and what we're tracking out there. There's that wave that I was just mentioning to you. And then out in the Atlantic, we have Hurricane Kirk, Tropical Storm Leslie. Both of those curve off to the north, and those will be no impact to land. So that is some good news there. Checking on our tides for today. Low tide 9:45 this morning. High tide 4:12 this evening. And as we look at your marine forecast through the weekend, just a moderate chop today, tomorrow. Then the seas increase Sunday. Bay waters turn choppy. So Saturday, that's going to be the pick of the weekend to spend some time outside. If you're hoping to still do some yard work, some cleanup around the house, that'll be the nicer day to avoid those showers and storms, which will really continue to develop through the day on Sunday. But look at this temperature trend. 90s on Saturday, then to the mid-80s Sunday and through next week. All right, we're checking in with Charlie now. Good day to you, Charlie.
Good day, Valerie. I am in Dunedin, downtown, right at the marina. The Best Western over here. All sorts of damage from the storm. The marina itself damaged. The pier closed, damaged. But the restaurant that sits right in between that motel and the marina, they want you to know one thing. They're open. They are open. Bon Appetit restaurant open for business. In fact, Oktoberfest happening in Dunedin starting tonight. They would like you to come here and support the local businesses. They know that the folks right here in Dunedin are still recovering. Tourists are kind of staying away, so it's up to us. We're teaming up with Tampa Bay Food Tours this morning. Bon Appetit happens to be on their tour. We'll talk about what they're all doing to help those recovering when Good Day Tampa Bay continues.
Fox 13 Sky Tower Radar Weather is brought to you by Spa Manufacturers, the only place for quality hot tubs and swim spas at the lowest prices. Just look for the Big Yellow Dock on Almerton Road.
Good day, Tampa Bay, and happy Friday. I'm Charlie Belcher coming to you from Dunedin. We're down at the marina here. We're talking about the local businesses that are open, and they're depending on those of us who did not get dramatically impacted by Hurricane Helene to come support them during this transition time. Local people along the coastline, they're still suffering. Tourists, for the most part, staying away, so they're going to need us. Alex is with Tampa Bay Food Tours. They hope to help. You're doing food tours this weekend. Fantastic. Alex, thank you very much. There you go, folks, TampaBayFoodTours.com. When we come back, I think we're heading to CC Riders next. We're going to jump around to several places in Dunedin, show you what's open and who needs your support. Look for those signs right there and give them some help. Good Day Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
You're watching Good Day Tampa Bay.
Welcome back. Finally, it's Friday, the end of a difficult week for a lot of people left with storm damage, and our hearts do go out to you.
Yeah, and that's one reason that we try to give our viewers a reason to smile. We hope we do anyway, to temporarily to try to take your mind off of these challenges. Here's a look at some of our Good Day goodies from the last week. Hope it was just a smile, at least one. That does it for this hour of Good Day Tampa Bay.
8 o'clock hour starts right now.